I put a copy of this recording on Power School, because we'll need to do one of these on the test. Okay, so on your graph paper, I'm going to draw big, just like you can see it. If you only want to use a quarter of the page or half the page for each one, however big you want to make it for you, that's fine. I've got extra copies of graph paper up there, so you don't have to think, oh, I got to squeeze all 4 of these on this one page. I've got more up here if you need it. Okay, so I'm going to start off by drawing my X and Y lines. My lines still aren't going to be the straightest, but even though I have guides, but they're going to be better than the board. Okay. So we know this is 0. So now we've got our prices, so we're going to put our prices on the side. So let's see, I can start here. The dollar. I can leave enough room here. $1.25. $1.75. And $2. So I kind of went every other line. However you want to space it out, that's fine. So we're going to start with our demand. So demand $2 at $2 a gallon. Demand's only 50, so I'm just going to start. I'll go up 2 over from the 0 and make that 50. 50, $2. So there's our point. See that? I came over from the 2, matched up with the 50. So then our next quantity demanded at $1.75, demand goes up a little bit to 60. So I'll go over 2 squares. You can do, like I said, you can go over as many as you want. 60. Match that up with the $1.75. And gas goes down to $1.50, so our quantity goes up to 75. So it didn't go up by 10, it went up by 15. I'm still going to pick a line, so I'll go, to be exact, it'd have to be in the middle of one of these boxes, but I'm still going to keep it on a line, just so it looks better. So 75. So here's the $1.50, bring it across. And I'll make a point for the 75. Do that in a little bit more. Okay. And gas goes down to $1.25. Quantity goes up to 95. So I'll put a 95 here on the bottom. Match that up with 25. Little dot. Then gas gets down to $1, quantity goes up to 120. I'll go over an extra line. So 120. So demand's going up. Price is going down. So what we're going to do, just draw a line. We can connect the dots. And that's our supply line. So now to label, something you're going to have to do when you get into math class, you're going to have, a lot of times you're going to have to label your lines. So label our line, remember this is supply. So we'll label our line S1. Sometimes my S's look like 5s. So S1, because we only have one supply line, so that's where the 1 is, because I messed up. That's demand. My bad. Demand 1, D1. That's demand line 1. Then the world of economics. You can get a lot more information squeezed on these charts and have a lot more lines going all kinds of different ways. So that's why just putting the 1 on the first one. So there's our demand line showing it. Demand goes up as the price goes down. So now we've got our column for supply. If remember, we're going to end up with a line like this. So we're just going to do the same thing for supply. At $2, the gas stations, the refineries, they're going to supply as much as they can at $2 a gallon. So that's going to be 120. So here's, remember, our 120s at the end. They go up to the 2. Price drops. So the gas companies supply a little bit less. So 95 or 75. Then we got 75 at $1.50. This is on the same spot as the demand. $1.25, gas companies supply only 60. And then at $1, gas companies only supply 50. So as the price went down, supply went down. So we're just going to do the same thing, connect the dots. And this one's S1 for our supply line. And now here at the intersection, or that one from yesterday, that's going to be our equilibrium price. So $1.50. So what the gas companies want to do, they want to supply, by this graph, 75, whatever 75 represents, as far as amounts, 75,000, 75 million gallons for the nation, 750,000 gallons for a city. They want to supply just enough to maintain a price of $1.50. Because the price goes up, remember, demand's going to go down. So if the price goes down, demand's going to go up. So the gas companies want to provide, they want to have it's a balancing act. It's a big balancing act. So there's number one, and we get our equilibrium price of $1.50. So now we've got number two, price and demand for CDs. Notice the charts, inverted from the top one, but we can still make it the same way. Still put our price on the left side. So I'll just use the bottom half of the paper. Still have room. Okay, so we'll still do our prices here on the left. So we got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So here's our prices. In the bottom, we're going to have demand and supply. So just make sure, whichever one you start with, if it's demand, so remember we're going to go this way and supply is going to go that way. So we'll start with demand. So at $5, the demand on CDs is 300. So let's see, we got 50. I'll go ahead and label because it looks like both numbers are the same. I'll go ahead and label the bottom. So this marker's bad for details, but it's good because it's thicker and it shows up better. So I went over 3 lines, 50, then 1, 2, 3, 100, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 on the 150, 1, 2, 3 on the 200, so on. So $5, quantity demanded is 300. I'm sorry, we'll start with price. Yeah, price $5, quantity demand is 300. So we got a 5. Take it all the way down here to the 300 and put our little mark. And at $10 and $2.50. So 10, and 250. Then we've got 15 and 200. So 15, 200. So our next price, we got 20 and 150. $25. Our demand is down to 100. Then at $30 for a CD, our demand is down to 50. So just like with the gas, everything else, the price goes down, or the price is going down, demand goes up. So let's connect the dots. Like that. It's demand, so our line is D1. There's what you should have so far for number 2. Like I said, once you do 1 or 2 of these, they're all pretty much the same. It's just the numbers are different. That's all. Okay, so there's demand for CDs. Now we got to look at supply. You know what the record companies are willing to supply at the prices. So at $5, they don't want to supply very many. So supply is only 50. So make a mark here where 50 meets the 5. At $10, they'll supply a little bit more, so they'll supply 100 at $10. At 15, it's 150. $20, 200. 20. $25, 250. 25. Look at $30 a CD. You know, they'll supply 300. So there's our supply. And we'll just draw our line. Supply 1. Now if you look, the intersections didn't cross right at, you know, the way the numbers are set up, they didn't cross both at the same numbers. They crossed right here between, it was like halfway between 15 and 20. So there's our equilibrium price right there. So halfway between 15 and 20 is, anybody? I heard 1750. You said 1750, or if you were thinking 1750. That's right. That's where our equilibrium price is. It's halfway between. But where supply meets demand, that's the equilibrium price. So there's number 2. So that gets us over here to number 3. Now number 3, our numbers are a little different. So we don't have, here we could use the same numbers down here at supply and demand. The numbers matched up on our charts. But on these charts, some of the numbers don't match up. So we'll have to squeeze some extra numbers into some places. So we'll start with our X and Y axis. We'll put our price over here. So we go ahead and put these on here. Let's see. 1, 2. For our gallon of gas, I went ahead and put the price here on the left. Looks like the demand goes up by 5, but I'm going to leave an extra line in the middle. And I'm going to switch from this here real quick. So 5, I'll zoom in. This one's going to be a little bit trickier. See, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30. Like I said, I've got plenty of graph paper, so if you think you got it too big, that's okay. I probably could have spread my bottom line out a little bit more. Okay, so at $6 a gallon, demand's only 5. So I'll make a mark there where the 6 and the 5 meet. Then we got $5 and 10 gallons. And $4 and 15 gallons. And 3 and 20. $2 and 25, and then $1, 30. Looks like I left an extra between the 1 and the 3, 1 and the 2, then I did the rest of them. So I just connect the dots. So that's demand, so that's D1. So there's our demand line. And just like with number 2, we're just going to put in our numbers for our supplied. So at $6, the amount that the refineries were willing to supply was 32. So no, there's no 32 on here yet, so we'll draw a spot for 32. Doesn't have to be exact. So it's not going to be to scale. So I'll draw 32. That's 6. And gas goes down to $5, so the amount supplied is 27. So I'll just extend this down 27. Match that up with the 5. Then 23 for $4 a gallon. And 20 for $3 a gallon, and that one matches up. And that $2 a gallon demand or supply is 15. And $1 a gallon supply is only 7. So there's our supply. And this one, just because the numbers are a little off here between 20 and 23, even if you were using a ruler, you wouldn't be able to draw an exact straight line. Because you'd have a little extra bump there in your angle. So we'll label our line, supply line 1. And we've got our equilibrium price for this setup. So that's $3 for our equilibrium price. So the gas companies they would supply 20 consistently, and they would consistently keep gas around $3 a gallon. That way they would know, how their production works, how many employees to keep on their shifts, and all that good stuff. So it keeps it steady. So on this one, what's the lowest amount of gas shown on demand? We got this question down here below. I didn't answer the questions for CDs. So the lowest amount of demand is, look at your demand chart. $5. Here we got our demand. We're looking at our demand line. So our lowest demand is going to be 5. What's the highest price of gas? Highest price is 6. That $3 a gallon, how many gallons of gas is Ted going to buy? At $3 a gallon. By 20. See the 3. Three matches up with the 20, so he's going to buy 20 gallons of gas. Now while we're still on the front page for the CDs, if the price of CD is $, how many CD will students buy? at $10. So you got the supply and demand. So how many are they going to buy? The CDs are $10. Demand. Price is $10. And we got our demand line. $10. $2.50. So it even says right here, $10. You just go right across. Demand is $2.50. If the quantity supplied is 200, what's going to be the price that students are going to pay if the quantity is 250 or 200? So our supply is 200. Price is going to be $20. Okay, so that gets us to the back side to number 4. The table summarizes the number of CDs 4 people want to buy each month at different prices. And there's a hint here, you're going to have to add the totals for each price for the total CD. An example is for $5, the total amount of CDs would be 27. So we're saying for $5, we'd have to add the 5 and the 10, the 8 and the 4 for 27. So on the next line, the 4, 9, 6, and 4 together, the 10, 23. So go ahead and add up those rows. So I added up the rows. Now all this chart refers to is demand. So you don't have there's no supply line. It's only demand. So this column's a total, so this is going to be your demand, and these are your prices. So you only have one. So on your own, go ahead and graph the prices and the demand, and then answer the questions that are going to go with your demand graph. Then when you get done with that one, just go ahead and go down to number 5. There's nothing to graph on number 5. There's just some questions there to answer. So answer the questions to number 5.